So basically, why MDM was utilized or why MDM came into picture? MDM actually came into picture because the industry was having multiple applications. So what happened with that was every department's application was having their own data or the database, due to which there were repercussions of duplicate data. The reports which they were actually getting were not efficient and effective, as they were not giving the entire truth that how many customers are there and how many revenue they have generated by each customer, because of multiple applications, multiple databases which were storing the same data, or even a little bit of distinct data as well. Plus, there were some repercussions or impacts on the deliveries or the data which were in the contacts for any customer. Because when a service industry or a product industry actually goes ahead and grabs a particular customer, they create a PO for that particular reason, and all the sales for either for services or product. For us, services is also a product for a service company. So we'll say it's a product basically. So if any product is being sold, so that was being handled by the sales department. And but when they were having some kind of queries or something, they were actually moved to the support systems or the support departments. So what that was actually giving, that if a customer has moved on or if a customer has changed his contact number, that was not being updated in the sales system. So if the data was being asked from the sales system, they were actually giving the old data for the particular customer. And due to which what happened was multiple times when the deliveries were happening or the contacts were being done, they were not able to find the customer at that place or over on the phone. But when they took the data from the support, they were actually having the latest data because they were actually communicating with to and fro with the customers. So they were having those kind of data in their environment or in their application as latest. So they were not able to manage multiple databases and can carry out the applications or can carry out all these things through using multiple databases. So at the end of the day, what happened was they created a new tool which was based on database itself, the relational database. What it was doing was it was taking the data from multiple databases or multiple applications, which in terms we in MDM we call them as source system. So there are two types of source system. One is internal and one is external. Internal means which is created from MDM itself. External means all the applications. Okay. So with that utilization, what this tool actually started doing was they wrote multiple algorithms for match, so that they can find out what all customers are duplicate or similar enough that we can say that these customers are duplicate, so that they can find out the latest information from each section of their department to be stated in a single record for that particular customer. What that helped them out was they started to get a correct or a good picture than what they were having before of their own company, that actually how many customers are there and what is the revenue per customer they are actually getting. So later on, these tools actually get refined and refined as Informatica was standing from very long time. It got matured earlier than other tools. Hence, in the Gartner's algorithm or Gartner's quadrant, Informatica is the highest ranking MDM tool. IBM MDM is behind it. Then there are lots and lots of others. And each MDM has its own specialty and its own utilization. According to the requirement, we go ahead and use the MDM tool, that which particular tool will be beneficial for the customer. Okay, that's how basically the MDM journey actually started. So In over here, let me just go ahead and so you can see on the left hand side, we have stated all the third party operational system, right? So these are the entire applications or the databases which a company or a customer is handling. It can be any XYZ systems, any XYZ databases, even the cloud. Why I say MDM is a great or not great, then a better approach or a better suited path forward, because we have seen languages are coming and they are growing into other languages. Behind it, either it would be C++ or it would be C#, .NET, or it would be Java, which is actually going ahead and converting them into multiple libraries, and we are getting new libraries or new classes for going ahead and doing the functionalities, right? But in MDM, doesn't matter which particular database you are using. Even if you are using cloud, even if you are using big data, even if you are using anything, later on, this will be a non-file based or a non-relational database like the big data and all. But even if you are using a big data in a rational database form or in a relational data DB, right? That particular system will be still called as a legacy system for MDM. Why? Because it is taking the data from there and it is enriching the data at the end of the day. So that is why I say MDM as a better path forward for any data to be migrated. So all the applications which a company or which a customer is handling, all those things are called as external source systems. So whenever the MDM journey starts, we always go ahead and analyze all these source systems. Okay. In this, what happens is all the data we'll go ahead and analyze for 3 or 4 major reasons. First reason behind is we need to check how much the data is garbage or data has noise in it. Okay.
Yeah.
So what happens on that is we need to find certain number of business rules which can reduce those noise and to clean that particular data. Second thing which we do in the external source system is we find out how much data is actually matching, how much duplicate we are having inside one system and across systems. Using the data quality tool, we have match and merge over there, or by utilizing the SQL fuzzy logic, which is given by SQL itself, SQL and Oracle. We use those kind of things to find out how much data is duplicate. Okay. So those things are the first part which you go ahead and do. And parallelly, a person will be there who will be going ahead and try to model all those application into a single model, so that it can have all the data which will be coming from different source system. So if your source, every source system is having, let's say 20 attributes per system, your in the end of the day, your MDM model might have 40 or 45 attributes, or maybe less, according to what all attributes are similar in each system. So it is a joint or a merged kind of a model which MDM actually holds. Okay. Then you guys have already gone ahead and done your work in ETL, that how to migrate the data from one particular source to one particular target, right? So that is being utilized for shifting the data from the applications which are maintained initially by the company. So that is moved to MDM. So the movement is done in landing table. So there are 3 steps in Informatica, or 3 stages in Informatica to move the data from one place to another. First is landing, second is stage, and third is base object or load. Okay. So after the data has been moved into the main table, all the match and merge has been done. All these things which are being mentioned, unifier, stewardship, all these things will be done in those process. Later on, that particular data which is being mastered, or which is cleaned, which is enriched, that is again sent back to those applications or to the reporting systems for creating the BI reporting reports. Okay, so that is something which MDM works on. So this is basically how the MDM architecture actually works. So as you have gone through with ETL, you will be knowing that ETL is mostly utilized for batch time and near to real time, right? We have to actually go ahead and schedule them, correct?
Yep.
So in MDM, there is another one which is actual real time. How we can go ahead and do real time? Real times are always done using APIs, the API calls. So the architecture which Informatica has gone ahead and created itself, it's basically a system integrated framework which it utilizes. So let's see all those things. Okay. So components of Informatica. So components of Informatica are 3. Major components are 3. First is Hub Console. Second is provisioning tool. And third is ActiveOS. So your Hub Console is utilized to create your physical model, hierarchy, your cleanse function, which means like everything will be first created in Hub Console. Your entire modeling and entire configuration is created in Hub Console. It's the base of MDM. Okay. Whereas provisioning tool uses the MDM Hub Console configuration to create the UI according to the requirement. And the third component is ActiveOS, which is utilized to create workflows. So these are the 3 components we'll be studying over here, or we'll be giving a hands-on experience and all those things in 2 modules, which is Hub Console and provisioning tool.
So ActiveOS we won't be covering, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Because ActiveOS is a different license, and it's almost like it's a deep down like a MDM. It has an entire different course structure.
Okay.
And over here with cloud, we don't have an ActiveOS license. So that is okay. So there are some misunderstanding between cloud and on-premises. So there are basically 3 types of architecture if we say about infrastructure related. First is on-prem, which means the server itself is with customer. They are not utilizing any other server. That means on-prem. Second is cloud premises, which means they are using either the AWS, Google, Microsoft, any of their infrastructure to install the Informatica and to utilize it. So basically they are installing the Informatica. And the third one is the pure cloud base, which means the SaaS platform, which is newly introduced by Informatica. Still, it needs too much maturity to go forward with, because in the cloud you will get either product or customer. So your entire model will be already developed. You will be just enhancing it by utilizing the business entities.
Okay, so that one is at product 360 or something.
No, product 360, customer 360, reference 360, entity 360. It's according to domain, which domain
Okay.
you are actually purchasing. So Informatica has released only for two domains in SaaS as a SaaS platform, which
Okay.
is C360 and P360.
Okay.
So whatever we will be going ahead and purchasing the license for a particular domain, so we will get a little bit extra features and predefined entities and a little bit of base objects and all configuration from the Informatica itself. So over here we are using multi-domain, which is entity 360 or enterprise 360. Domains can be customer, domains can be product, domain can be reference, domain can be your supplier, domain can be your vendor. So all these are your domain, which Informatica gives you a little bit configuration from itself. So P360, C360, R360, and E360. These are the four domains which Informatica gives you predefined configurations. Then in the architecture, there are three sections, right? So these three sections are called as UI layer, which is evolved from IDD to E360, C360 and all. Then there is an application server, which is split into two parts. One is application server, which is having the master reference manager, hierarchy manager, activity manager, all those kind of functionalities will be handled by one single piece of server. The second node is utilized for cleanse function, match and merge, all those kind of activities, which we say it as cleanse match server. Next one is your database. Now your database is actually split into two parts. One is master database, which will every single time it will come with your configuration. We'll go into deep what it will hold and what it will not. The second are the ORS, which is operation reference servers or stores. Okay. In the database, all your configurations and everything will be stored over here according to your application layer. ORS will be storing your data and its own configuration. Application server, it utilizes for all the activities which we will be doing on hub, provisioning to the data manipulation activities, all those things. Whereas the UI layer is the interaction layer for the data steward as well as for developer to create those configurations and to manipulate the configurations which have been given. Okay. So database tiers are basically into two, as I stated, master database and operational tray, ORS database. So master database, we'll be seeing all these things in the tool itself. So first 2 days, I would say, or second day half would be a little bit theory and PPT side, but later on everything will be on the tool section. So don't worry, it's not just theory. Okay. So we'll be seeing how the master database looks like, what are the configurations which master database we'll be seeing, and all the same things in ORS as well. So master database contains the application layer configuration, which means how many ORS databases are there, what is the version of MDM we are using, what is the server we are using, application server, what is the database version we are using, or the database application we are using. All those kind of stuff will be stored in master database, like user what all users are being created, which particular user will be having which, what all tool access and everything. So those kind of areas will be stored in master database. Whereas your ORS database will handle your data, your entire model configuration, the user's role and the relationship between them, and other metadata which we'll be creating inside ORS. Okay. Application server, as it's stating, there are two places. One is application server and the other one was cleanse and match server. Application server is utilizing all the APIs, get, put, delete, everything. Every API for data manipulation will be going from application server. Whereas if there is any cleanse function is utilized, match and merge is going through, all those processes will be handled by a different server altogether. Okay. And all these APIs are being driven from the application layer, which is the UI layer, the hub console, or the BES services, the business entity services, or the directly the E360 or C360, which whatever you're using, those becomes the UI layer. Those APIs will be called from there to the application server, which will direct the process or the call according to which particular process it would require. And it's a thread architecture. It's a multi-thread architecture which is being designed in the backend. Okay. So batch flow, as we stated, right? So how the data is being flown from one particular system to the end of table base object. So how it does is we have seen the ETL to push it into the landing, right? So the ETL process is over here. It sends the data into the landing. We'll be creating the landing tables. We'll be creating the stage tables. We'll be creating each and everything mostly over here. Okay. So it loads the data into the landing table. So ETL job is done and MDM job starts after the data is in landing table. Stages always truncate and load. So every time the data is coming in, this raw table, reject table, there are two other tables which will be created. Raw table is utilized for delta auditing purpose. For delta detection, there are two other supporting tables. We'll be seeing all these things. So it's just a walkthrough kind of a thing. So the landing and the data which is sent to stage runs through mapping. We have a mapping inside MDM as well. So that mapping will be having certain number of cleanse functions involved. Else, that would be a pass-through mapping. And according to what configuration we have done in stage, there might be a certain number of records which will get rejected. There would be, if we have gone ahead and created the configuration for auditing, then the data will be sent to raw table. If we have gone ahead and created the data for our audit layer, then we'll have two different tables for that particular purpose. One would be OPL and one would be OPL and PRL table. Okay. Once the data is sent to staging table, then there is a load process. So this process is called a stage process or stage job. Stage job will do the stage process, which will send the data from landing to staging by utilizing the mapping and the configuration for auditing and delta detection. And when the data is there in the staging table, there is a load job or load process which happens. So in the load process, it goes ahead and sends the data into three different tables. First is cross-reference. I'll give you more deep knowledge about XREF because there are four different tables, which is extremely useful and necessary because that will be containing the data according to the his lineage, candidate, or the source records, those kind of information. Then the load process also sends the data into history and all other tables like PCT table, match table, and all those tables. And if there is any rejections happening, there are multiple reasons why rejects might happen. Certain numbers are if the load process, which kind of load we are actually utilizing. So if we are utilizing load by row ID and that row ID object is not present, it will reject. If we are there is no parent detected and the child record is there, it will be rejected. If the lookup value doesn't exist, it will reject. So there are multiple reasons why a data can be rejected. So those data, all the rejected data will be sent into the same reject table. Okay. Once the data is there in the base object, we go ahead and do a match and merge. So in match and merge, every time the data will be going into the tokenization format, the tokenization will be done. Match key, match process, match table, all these things will happen and the data will finally get merged with all the duplicates or the similar records. Okay. And that is how we get our golden record. In MDM, golden record means the final record which has been created after all the process has been done by MDM. The cleanse or the data is duplicate in landing table
Okay.
or any data which is not mapped correctly. The data is
Okay.
being sent for more length, those data. So over here from landing to stage, there are very less rejects, very less.
Okay.
But in load process, your all the validations, all your referential integrity are checked. Hence, rejects are a little bit more in the load process. Okay.
Yeah.
So all the IDQ or your ETL, everything will be utilized over in these two sections. Everything from over here till end of base object will be utilized from the MDM itself. We will not utilize any other tool for it. Okay. So this is a little bit similar to what we'll be seeing in Hub Console. Okay. So you can see over here as cleanse function, right? So these are the place where we'll be creating the cleanse function for us. And this actually uses the IDQ mappings as a cleanse function, but the IDQ mapping should be published via a web service. Only afterwards we will be able to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
So address doctor is a plugin which is utilized to verify the address which is being given by a record or by an application for that particular record. Is it valid or not? But address doctor is only utilized for North America, UK, Canada, and Australia. And for any other reason, there is no address doctor which is being there, because address doctor utilizes a database either online or on premises to be connected and to validate that particular address, if that particular person is staying over there or not. And for that, there is a third party providers like D&B is there for getting the data for the customers as well as for all the other people as well. Either it's organizational or individual data according to our need.
So even that also comes as a cleansing, or where we can place that in this flow.
We
I
can
mean that
utilize
address.
address doctor over here in the landing table, and also with this one we have an external call as the dash services which we utilize for that particular purpose. But mostly we use address doctor in the landing process, which is IDQ or IICS if we are utilizing the cloud service for integration.
Okay. So then that is also outside of MDM, right?
Outside of MDM, not inside of MDM.
Okay.
Because in the MDM, we don't want any third party application to directly intervene for the data.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is more majorly on configuration. And the main utilization of MDM is to put up a activity or put up a process where your data will get deduplicated, and all the data which is coming in should get enriched. More information should be updated by multiple applications at one place. That is the major role which MDM plays, so that it becomes easier for governance activities to be placed on that particular data, so that the data should not get any bad or worse in the state, which will lead to inefficient reports, which will lead to loss of revenue for the company. So its only task is to deduplicate and to supply back the information which is deduplicated and enriched. The second part where I stated about data governance, it gives a support to data governance activities that can be placed very easily on towards the data. Because there are various different tools, various cheaper tools where you can go ahead and find out if they have what is the lineage of that particular data, how the data was being transformed, right? For those purpose, there are multiple tools, but this tool not only gives you the lineage of that particular data once the data is in, it also provides all those functionalities also. So all these things in over here. So these all sections which are over here, right? We will be going into the database and the tool to see how these things are actually working. Okay, everything over here, it's been listed out. These things we will be seeing inside the tool directly. Okay, So I'll just go ahead and connect to the RDP. Okay. Over here in the RDP, you will find MDM credentials and URL and the hub console. So SQL developer for your database checking. URL, you just have to use the provisioning and the E360. That's it. Because BDD is already been expired, we don't use BDD anymore. BDD has converted itself into provisioning tool. In ActiveOS we do not use because that will be utilized if we have the ActiveOS designer where we'll be going ahead and creating the workflow. This particular tool will be utilized to deploy it. That's it. So there are two ORS which we have created over here. Let me just go ahead and give you a tour about Hub Console. So you can see there are three types of database. The master database, you can see it as it is written as CMX over here itself, right?
Yeah.
So as I stated that we'll just go ahead, we'll click on master database, double click it, or you can just click on OK. Okay. So what all databases which we are having and the configuration. So first thing is what are workbench, and it is defined in processes, right? So processes are nothing but the flow diagrams or process flows for each activity which workbench is giving us. There is nothing else in it. Okay. So in your configuration, there are 5 different tabs. One is configuration, model, security access manager, data steward, and utilities, right? So in that, for master database, configuration part is only utilized for master database. There is nothing else which is there for master database to see or master database to handle it. Okay. In master database, only the metadata for according to application layer is only stored over there, nothing else.
Okay. So basically, the schema model which we would be creating,
No, that
that.
would be stored in your ORS. All your
Okay.
configuration over here are stored in your ORS database.
Okay. Like, just for any example, is there that you can give for like what goes in the master database?
So master database will hold all the configurations regarding the workbench, application layer configuration, database connectivity configurations, your users, which what all users are being created configurations, what type of security providers, those types of information, what user will be having which tool access, that kind of information. So all those things. So we'll be discussing everything according to each and every section. So this section, what all it will be holding,